Hey, welcome to Cloud and Sec. In this video, I want to explore the evolution of AI throughout the last few decades. It is a very interesting topic that I've been meaning to sit down and write something about for the last few months. But given the amount of information that's been released and the amount of development in the field just for the last year, doing so would take an immense amount of effort. So what happened was I bumped into this great article and research by Our World in Data, and I wanted to share with you some of the findings from these folks in here. They are incredibly valuable for anyone wanting to understand how we got to the state where we are with artificial intelligence. So let's dive in. Okay, so just an extra shout out to the folks from Our World in Data. You can see on screen here the research, and this is actually a very thorough research on the subject. It's been written by Max Roser, who is the founder of Our World in Data, in fact. But he's also acknowledges research from his colleagues as well here, from extending his thanks to everyone that worked in this research here. And you can see that the commentaries and the references that they leverage is actually quite a lot. So what does the research say? In fact, it actually just touches on how computers and AI have fundamentally changed what we see, right? So let's use this information here to have a look at that. So what it states here is the first part is how we got here, right? So I want to talk about the part one, the early days of artificial intelligence. So the first digital computers here were only invented about 8 decades ago. That's remarked by the research. Since the early days of this history, some computer scientists have strived to make machines as intelligent as humans. The first system mentioned in the article is the Theseus, built by Claude Shannon in 1950. So we can see here in this timeline, the first digital computers were built around 40s, and then Theseus was released around the 1950s. And then some very important developments happened around 1970 with the first microprocessor, the early days of internet around 1990. And then, of course, we had first iPhone 2007, and of course, we are mid 2020-ish. Great. If we look then at the timeline of notable artificial intelligence systems, this is exactly what I'm saying. Theseus was the small robotic mouse that could navigate a simple maze and remember its course. That was in 1950. Now, if we have a look at other notable intelligence systems remarked by them here, we had around the late 1950s here, the Perceptron Mark I, regarded as the first artificial neural network. It could visually distinguish cards marked on the left side from those marked on the right side. Now remember that throughout these decades here, we had, of course, the advent and the use of the Enigma machine and also very important cryptography developments that were powered by what happened in the World War II around 1940s, right? So that's actually powering all the field of artificial intelligence with Alan Turing as well throughout that decade, leading the way in some of the field there. Great. So regarding notable artificial intelligence systems, in early 90s, we had what we call the TD Gammon, which is a software that learned to play backgammon at a high level, just below top human players. Next, early 2010s, we had AlexNet. This was a pivotal early deep learning system, a neural network with many layers that could recognize images of objects such as dogs and cars at near human level. At around late 2010s, we had artificial intelligence with language and image recognition capabilities that are comparable to those of humans. We're going to go see later in the article here in the research the comparison of how good computers have gone compared to basic human consumption of these contents. So that's quite remarkable as well. So that was the early days of artificial intelligence and a quick look at major AI developments throughout a timeline. But also, as we go throughout the article, this is exactly what I was referring to. This image licensed by Max Roser, as you can see here. This image licensed by the author Max Roser under CC-BY. We can see here that the language and image recognition capabilities of AI have improved rapidly. Now, if we look throughout the last 20-ish years, we can see here in this score between a -100 up to +20, how AI systems have compared against human performance in different tasks. For example, in this red line here, we can see how handwriting recognition from AI systems has developed. We can see it has developed pretty well and plateaued up until now. Speech recognition has also done the same since the early 2000s or late 90s. We also have image recognition, but most importantly here at the end we have reading comprehension and language understanding. This is what we very much see very prominently in the media nowadays, with large language models taking the headlines everywhere we see, right? So OpenAI using large language models to understand language and, of course, making some sense out of questions that are posed to it. Take a look at this development. It's really, really crazy. Of course, this doesn't lay out what kind of research was backing each of these staples of the field, right? But at some point in the 2010s here, we have deep learning and neural networks taking great strides into better algorithms to actually make sure that these very rapid developments in the field for specific domains are actually achieved. So pretty remarkable stuff. And if we look here, where we are at to each of these fields, we can actually see that AI performs better than humans in most of these tasks, right? So if this line here is human performance, everything above it is performing better. So machines are actually performing better than human in most of these tasks. Really impressive stuff. If we go back to the research, what else does it tell us? It also tells us about the image recognition developments throughout many years. We can see in the last decade alone, the creation of images with artificial intelligence has developed by quite a lot, right? If you see 2014, you could generate some pixelated images from faces. Nowadays, it's generating very detailed and unique faces, including dogs, cats, and objects, right? So that's really developed really well as well. They also go in to explain how the field has developed the language detection model, essentially. So it's able to recognize language and produce content utilizing sensible language at a great level. And where we are right now, so it just goes on to explain the impact of AI on our lives. Right, so essentially AI systems are already greatly impact our lives. They are increasingly shaping what we see, believe, and do, right? We can also see that based on steady advances of AI technology and the large recent increases in investment, we should expect AI technology to become even more powerful and impactful in the following years and decades. If we look at how technology has powered all this development and what major technology staples have been made throughout the last few decades, this graphic has it and has it all, right? So it's a very detailed graphic. I don't intend to share it in details in this video. You can reference the source based on the description. I'm going to tag this entire research here for you, of course. But you can see here just throughout the decades how the power of technology and the availability of powerful technologies has greatly enhanced the development of the field, right? So it's measuring what technology is used, how many flops of data to leverage its development, right? So if we get to the beginning of the field here, it could compute about 10 flop of data. Nowadays, we're reaching tens of billions of petaflop, right? Essentially, what is a flop? It's a computational measure in floating point operations, right? One flop is equivalent to one addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division of decimal numbers, two decimal numbers. So it's a very technical term here to describe how computers and processors can operate in multiple layers, right? Now we can see here that GPT-3, released in 2020, could operate at about 314 million petaflops, and it could already produce high quality text, right? So this is essentially what we're leveraging for the most part today with the GPT-3, GPT 3.5 available in Bing.com, for example. GPT-4 being the upcoming version that's about to be released soon, I believe, right? So then we have other models here from other major companies which leverage even more computational capacity here for image generation, for language understanding, for everything else that we have discussed here. So quite impressive kind of research in the development of the field throughout the many decades. Now, it's easy to underestimate how much the world can change within a lifetime. So it is worth taking seriously what those who work on AI expect for the future. Many AI experts believe that there is a real chance of human-level artificial intelligence will be developed within the following decades, and some think it will exist much sooner. Now, where all this technology leaves us, of course, we all know that AI comes here to enhance how civilization is dealing with a lot of different challenges. I was also seeing another research by Max Roser around the evolution of education and the projections of education throughout the next few decades. If we add AI to one of the tools that are going to enhance civilization, we can see that education is going to be greatly impacted, and our ability and the civilization's ability to solve problems is going to increase exponentially. And so this is quite a remarkable field and time for us to be involved in technology. So every side of it, technology is effectively going to be impacted by AI at some stage. Hopefully you agree with some of that. If not, let me know in the comments why. But if you like this sort of content and video, let me know, leave a like and subscribe. Thank you.